all the details for you. And I'm getting a number of new bits of information about what appears to be a shooting that has happened at Centennial, Colorado, at a high school there. According to all the information we've been able to gather thus far, 1 to 2 people may have been shot. There are indications that there may be a fire at this school as well. We have indications that a number of schools are now on lockdown. Centennial, Colorado, of course, the area where they're trying James Holmes, who is the movie massacre suspect from Aurora, Colorado. Also, the Littleton, Colorado school district, which is the school district of Columbine High School, is now said to be on lockdown. We have a developing story, and we'll get to it, out of Centennial, Colorado, as Shepard Smith reporting continues on this Friday afternoon. Now the breaking news which I was mentioning out of Centennial, Colorado. A school security officer now confirms there has been a shooting at Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado. The reports are different. Some are indicating one person has been hit. Others are indicating 2 people have been hit. We don't know whether they're students or somebody else or faculty or staff or somebody from off campus. We don't know. We are informed that no one is yet in custody and that this is an active situation. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's deputies and the district security officer there are responding to this scene. This school has about 2,000 students. I want to show you the area. This is Colorado. This is the Kansas border over here. This is Denver. There's Denver. This is Centennial right here. So this is Denver. This is Centennial. And Littleton is right over here as well. This is Littleton, Colorado. They're kind of adjacent to one another. Here's Littleton. Here's Centennial. And they sort of come together right here along this loop which runs around Denver. So this is a familiar area to all of us who covered the shooting out there at Columbine High School. And now here in Centennial, they're trying the Aurora, Colorado school massacre suspect. So a lot of questions. And as I've been told by now 5 producers, Alicia Acuna is on the phone. Alicia, do you have any more?
Hi, Shepard. Actually, what we're getting is a lot of it is from what we're getting on the scanner, and we're hearing that there was a Molotov cocktail found on the suspect. That's as much as we have in terms of a suspect. If there's more than suspects, we don't know. This is a school that has more than 2,000 students, and we're 1 week out from the Christmas break. This is one of the larger schools, one of the larger campuses in the Littleton School District, in a very large community, one of the larger suburbs in the Denver area. Parents are being informed where to go to check on their children. As you know, this is actually a particularly delicate situation here in this community. This isn't that far from Littleton, Colorado, which is near the high school where we were all together many years ago, Columbine High School. So everyone is heading down to this area right now. We understand that there was a fire at the school. We're not sure if it is still going on. We just know that there were reports there. 2 victims is what we're hearing at this point, and this is something that occurred shortly after lunchtime there, according to Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office. Shepard?
I wonder, they're so sensitive there now. I wonder if you're curious at all why there hasn't been a statement from, frankly, anybody.
Yeah, I am curious why we haven't seen anything on Twitter. We haven't heard if there's any statements coming out of the school itself or out of the district. That could be because it's still an active shooter situation. There are a lot of possibilities here. You know, there were a lot of lessons that were learned out of Columbine on what to do and what not to do. If there is an active shooter situation, they may have locked things down. We haven't heard if the school is in lockdown right now. We do know that there are officers there and that there are ambulances headed there as well. I shouldn't say multiple because I don't know that for sure. I do know that there are ambulances headed to Arapahoe High School. I am curious as well, though, why we haven't heard more from officials other than the fact that the dispatcher says that there has been a shooting and a fire.
Indeed. Alicia Acuna, stay with us. Again, Alicia from our Rocky Mountain newsroom in Denver base and on the line with us from there. The Associated Press, as Reuters news agency, has just sent out its first bulletin, and here it is. It came while Alicia was speaking. Police were responding on Friday to reports of a shooting at a Colorado high school, the Denver Post reported. The Post said that there have also been reports of a fire at Arapahoe High School. There was no word of injuries. The Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office confirmed officers were at the school, but declined to give further details. So here's the school. Alicia mentioned it is a very large one, more than 2,000 students in this school. We have indications now that the Littleton, Colorado School District, of which this is a part, is on lockdown. We expect that the choppers will be overhead shortly and we'll be able to bring you some context and perspective as it comes in. At this moment, there's nothing to indicate any students have been hurt. There's nothing to indicate any faculty or any. We do not have the information yet, except what we've just told you that we've gotten from police. We'll have more in a moment. There is word of big changes coming to the way. The government keeps tabs on all of us, and it's in response to the big outcry after we learned that the feds are monitoring Americans' phone calls and computers. We'll get to that and the rest of the breaking news right after this. I want to take our viewers out to Centennial, Colorado, and we've just gotten our first live chopper pictures coming in, and you can see this is the first time I've seen these since we were having the discussion. You can see there's an active scene here. I'm told that this is the entrance to the school. These are counties and locals there who are on scene. The choppers have been over the school, and though there were some reports, though we hadn't confirmed them, there were multiple reports actually that there might have been a fire there. There was word that people had seen smoke coming out of this school. The chopper has not indicated that as they went over the school. So if there was any smoke, we haven't been able to see it as the choppers went overhead. There is obviously a large group of police there, and now to this massive school building, obviously there's been snow there, and you know, at first glance, we don't know what to make of this yet. What we do know is there are reports that 1 to 2 students have been shot. No, not students, forgive me. 1 to 2 persons have been shot. We don't know whether students or faculty, or we don't have any idea who they are. We further do not know who this suspect is, but you can see what appears to be students outside the school now. From what we can see here, there's no sense of panic whatsoever. I can see students on their cell phones, which could be any normal day with kids these days. And the initial indication was that there was nobody in custody. Yet from the reporting of Alicia Acuna, our Denver-based correspondent, there were some indications that she received that there may have been a Molotov cocktail involved here. Again, this is the Littleton, Colorado School District. This is in the town of Centennial, which is adjacent to the school district where Columbine was. That was Jeffco, Jefferson County School District. They're about 8 miles apart. So there's an active scene here, it would appear. But from the looks of the people who are standing around, you can see an officer here who's barking out some instructions, but there's certainly no chaos and no panic on the streets on what appears to be a somewhat chilly afternoon, but I see people in short sleeves as well. The frustration here is that we have the reports, we have them confirmed by multiple sources, yet we're not getting anything in the way of tweets or news conferences or anything official released. So my judgment is to err on the side of caution here and just wait and let this play out. That kids are running across a snowy field with their arms in the air would suggest to me that they are following protocol. Anybody who remembers what happened in the wake of the shooting at Columbine High School remembers seeing students coming out with their hands up. Just so that nobody does anything, that nobody is brought towards something that would scare anyone. I mean, your hands are in the air, and that way no one sees. It's a horrible thing to see, isn't it? Students coming out with their hands in the air. But police are acting, I'm quite confident, with caution. The frustration is that we don't know what to tell you at this moment, except that we have reports that 2 people are shot inside the school. We now have pictures from our station in Denver, KDVR, our Fox station there, at 1:30 in the afternoon with students out on a snowy day, and you can see some of them hugging down here from the chopper shot, and more on the top. And what we can hope is that we've had a rough scare here, and that everybody's fine. And unless and until we hear from police, we'll stick with that. Centennial, Colorado, on a Friday afternoon. And our coverage will continue, and we have some new information right after this. Okay, breaking news continues out of Denver, Colorado, actually Centennial, Colorado, which is a bedroom community right along the loop around the city. And we now have information from the reporting of the Denver Post newspaper and denverpost.com. If you could bring that to me, I'd appreciate it. The latest that we have is, according to the reporting of the Denver Post, 1 student shot 2 other students in the cafeteria at Centennial at this high school. A dispatcher with the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office said Friday afternoon there had been a shooting. The reports of this shooting and a fire was the initial reporting. And look at live pictures here with students coming out of the side of the building with their hands in the air just behind this tree. I think we should stay with this, folks. The reporting that we're getting indicates this happened in the cafeteria, and I am not blind to the memory of the shooting that happened at Columbine. As everyone knows, that happened in the cafeteria, and there was a lot more to follow. So if the Denver Post reporting is accurate, and this shooting happened in the cafeteria, and now we have these very familiar scenes of students coming out of the building with their hands in the air, you can only imagine what this was like for these children. If the Denver Post reporting is correct, and suddenly a student is firing off rounds in the cafeteria during the school day, it would have to bring back memories, at least for their parents, of that horrible day in Littleton when we had such a familiar scene. These pictures with the kids with their hands in the air, it's to err on the side of caution. In this part of Colorado, they developed specific protocol, what will be done, what the instructions will be, how we will handle casualty situations of this kind, should they happen at a school or a factory or any place where lots of people gather. And we were covering this training for people, and this is SOP, as the police would put it, standard operating procedure, hands in the air. And look at this, everyone being frisked here, making sure that nobody else has any sort of weapon. This protocol was put together over a period of months and even years, if my memory serves, and this is exactly how they planned that it would happen if there were another incident of that kind. And you can see these kids here in short sleeve shirts and khakis here, and a police security officer, it says on the back, security, coming up to frisk them all. So each one is frisked, as we can see from these pictures in the helicopter, turned around, frisked again, and then allowed to move on. And the others are in the line waiting, and it looks like some of these girls are consoling each other. I wish that I had answers to you about what happened with this student. The reports from the Denver Post are one student shot 2 other students. There are other reports from other agencies, which I cannot confirm, which Alicia Acuna mentioned here, of a Molotov cocktail in some way being involved. I have no reports from police on that. In fact, anybody on the news deck, has anything come in officially from police? Mark Heiner, who's in charge out here today, says nothing at all from the sheriff's office there in Arapahoe County, nothing at all from the Centennial, Colorado Police Department, nothing at all from Arapahoe High School, this school of some 2,000 in Centennial, except these pictures, which are as familiar. Frankly, it's really sending chills down my spine. On that dark day in Littleton, I was there a few hours after this happened, with police with their guns drawn as students come out of school, obviously here to protect in the event there's more to this than they know, erring on the side of caution. But on that day, we arrived as students were still wandering about this property, and after all of us had watched this video of kids with hands in the air all day and just dumbstruck by what had happened, the tears that were flowing on that campus, it's our hope and prayer at this point that whatever it is that happened in there, that injuries, if there are any, are not life-threatening, and that these kids are going to be fine, and that this scene in this library is not something that will stay with these students forever. But I don't know about you, but never in my days in high school did you ever have to come out, thank God, with your hands in the air. That's not an imprint for me. But you would have to imagine that a not so cold day, a lot of kids in short sleeves, but still some snow on the ground there in Centennial, walking out single file by the thousands with your hands in the air, because according to the reporting of the Denver Post, a student has taken a shot at a couple of kids. Rick Leventhal is going to come into studio and give us a little bit more of what we have. Mark Heiner is indicating to me, who's in charge on the news deck this afternoon. And where am I going to find these? Whose bat? On my bat. These are coming. This is the Denver Post reporter who is covering this, and students are telling me at least 2 students were shot by another student in the cafeteria, with a hashtag Arapahoe High School if you want to follow it on Twitter. School staff and volunteers are hurriedly trying to get the names of students who are outside the building. Students tell me they heard multiple shots coming from the cafeteria everyone ran out of the school. Again, this is from the reporting of the Denver Post, and everyone is being ordered to get away from the school by police right now. Police helicopter is now overhead. So that's what we have in the way of tweets, and they continue to file out of the school with police on guard. And it's my hope that in some way parents have been able to get information about this, which we have not, because at this point there is no information of any kind except what's coming from reporters who are on the ground. We have nothing official of any kind from anyone at Arapahoe County, Arapahoe High School, from Centennial Police Department or the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Department, for that matter from state police or anyone else. Rick, come on over here if you can, because I want to keep these pictures up. Rick Leventhal was there with us in Littleton back in the day, and not to equate these two, but these scenes are so familiar. What are you learning?
Well, I haven't heard much more than you've been reporting about this, Shepard, but it is interesting that this is 1 year tomorrow since the shooting at Sandy Hook, and that's the story that we've been working on all day, is what's happened in the time since Sandy Hook and now. And it strikes me that gun control advocates will look at this and say, here's more evidence that we need tougher restrictions on guns, and gun rights supporters will tell you, here's more evidence that there should be more armed guards in schools.
We will learn in the hours or days ahead how strict their security is there. I know that in some schools in this region, they implemented very strict security codes. In some places, doors were locked. You had to have permission to enter campus. Frankly, this is a school about 8 miles away, and I don't know the specifics of what the rules are at Arapahoe off the top of my head.
Well, and some schools, they have metal detectors, airport-style metal detectors that you must walk through before you enter the school. I don't know if they have that in this school district either, but you know, they do obviously take precautions. They don't want kids walking into school with weapons, and they try to prevent that from happening. Somehow this kid got in with a gun.
I've just gotten an update from Fox 31, which is our local station in Denver. Their reporter Julie Hayden is now reporting that the shooter, quote, appeared to be down inside the school as of 1:30 Mountain Standard Time, and that SWAT teams are slowly but surely evacuating all the students who were inside the school at the time. So if there's good news to be had at this point, as we watch this single file of students coming out of this massive education center in Centennial, it is that Julie Hayden of Fox 31, Fox for Denver, is now reporting that the shooter appears to be down inside the school, and that shooter at least is neutralized. How? I've given you what I know. We still have nothing from police. And Rick, part of what we learned in the years after Littleton was that they were going to have procedures so that parents and family members and loved ones across the nation would be able to get information. And now it appeared, is this setting up for a news conference? Victor, first ground pictures that we have. We have no indication of a news conference. We don't even have a single tweet from the sheriff's office.
But there is protocol they have to follow. They have to clear the buildings. They have to check every student that comes out to make sure that that student isn't in fact a gunman or another gunman. They have to then search all of those students to make sure that they're not carrying weapons. And then they have to go through the school room by room to make sure that those rooms are clear and secure. So it's a very lengthy process, and you see the couple thousand students that attend this particular high school being herded out. They'll all be searched, they'll all be cleared, and then they have to do the same thing inside the school.
We've just gotten an indication now from one of the local stations, it happens to be the CBS television station in Denver, and our network news service station, that there is a news conference being planned for 1:45, which would be about 2.5 minutes from now. I'm sure that time is kind of in flux, but so far they've not done any tweeting, and we have nothing to indicate that this situation is over. Certainly the pictures would indicate to us that they are making sure that no one else has a weapon and that nobody else might bring danger to anyone who's here.
Right. Well, that's the first priority for law enforcement, not necessarily to tell the public, but to make sure that the school is secure, the kids are safe, and that they have isolated this gunman and neutralized this gunman in some way so that there's no danger to anyone else.
And now the chopper has panned over to a local fast food restaurant where the kids are gathering, and we don't know if they've sent them here to get them off campus, but we do know that what they were doing was checking to make sure that nobody was in any danger, that nobody had any weapons on them, and then they were releasing them to go for the day. My producer has just told me that there's a news conference expected in a matter of moments. Is that correct? 2 minutes now from a news conference. So this is the local Burger King, and the kids have come over here after being dismissed from school. I can only imagine what it must have been like in that cafeteria. It's a massive school with thousands of kids.
Well, you said it yourself. Growing up, we didn't have this kind of thing to worry about. in high school. There might have been a fist fight.
I remember, and not to equate this to that horrible day in Littleton, but the similarities, at least in the visuals, are obvious. And on that particular day, when we were on the ground in Littleton that day, it was these recalling of what had happened in this cafeteria and this imprint that had been made on folks who were, what, 13 years older than these people. So I'm not sure. That's the stuff of discussion, not of memory for these students. And
so far, there's no word on the condition of the people who may have been shot inside the school. Is that right?
In fact, we have nothing confirmed by police, paramedics, hospitals, sheriff's office, state police. We have nothing from anyone. In fact, we were told officially that ambulances were on the way. We've seen no pictures of any ambulances. We've been told by the reporting of KDVR in Denver that the shooter is down, or believed to be down inside the school. We have no confirmation on that either. I'm told that we're about 30 seconds away now from a news conference when maybe we'll learn a little more. But right now what we have is pictures and reports. I've looked to see what else it is that the Denver Post may have, or other sources inside Denver. Our team here on the news deck is watching for tweets out of this school, and we're getting a lot of information from students, but nothing officially from police. Kelly Rice is here watching tweets as they come in, and you're getting a lot of retweeting, but many prayers to everyone affected, but no official information.
No, and this tweet here just says somebody reported to another station that they heard 4 gunshots, that students inside are reporting that they heard gunshots and ran to the door.
We've seen a number of tweets from people who have used that number, some with a little higher, some with a little lower. One thing we do know is that first reports are almost always inaccurate. When you're in the middle of a normal day and you're sitting at a cafeteria and suddenly there are shots being fired, your memory of what has just happened is, historically speaking, from my experience, often not reliable. Chris DeLella has some information that's coming in as well. This is from 9 News in Denver.
9 News in Denver is saying that one 15 to 16-year-old victim with a gunshot wound, unknown gender, unknown condition.
Again, that's from 9 News in Denver, which is the NBC station, which we have no affiliation with, but that is what they are reporting. They're reporting, quote, confirmed, one 15 to 16-year-old victim with a gunshot wound, unknown gender, unknown condition. And again, the hashtag Arapahoe High School if you want to follow it. Our local station is KDVR, Fox 31 for Denver and surrounding areas, and they're live with continuing coverage now. Let's listen.
Of an active scene. We see sheriff's vehicles, police vehicles still very much rushing up here. Again, if you zoom over here on the north side of the school, you can see students that are still evacuating from the school itself. Most of the situation, we were told from students who were in the area, happened in the area of the library. That's where these students say they heard the gunshots from. But again, we're still awaiting a briefing, a formal briefing from police once they get this active situation under control. And obviously with the scene that you're seeing, it's going to take some time. So that's what we know out here from Arapahoe High School. Boris?
See, there you go. Now we're hearing library. We have dozens and dozens of bits of information that suggested it was the cafeteria. Hopefully shortly we'll get to know exactly where it is, but for purposes of this moment, if we can listen to KDVR and show these live pictures that are coming into us on a separate feed from KDVR as well, you can see that the frisking is underway as we listen to KDVR's live coverage.
Myself, again, we saw one student who was having what looked like an anxiety attack. She was given an inhaler. It looked like it handled the situation. This ambulance rushed over to assist, but that is all that we've
Breaking news, and we've just gotten word here on the Fox News deck from a spokesman at the regional hospital there that one student has been transported to the hospital. That one student is now in critical condition. Again, that is official from a spokesperson at the hospital. Our Fox 31 local coverage continues. Listen.
Littleton Adventist Hospital right now, just a frightening situation.
This is a Littleton Public School. All of the schools in the Littleton Public School District have been placed on lockdown. This is affecting schools in a lot of places. In fact, Cherry Creek tells us their schools have been under a secure perimeter, meaning students are still in class, but they are not allowed to leave right now. This happened just an hour ago, so still unfolding. We understand that 2 people have been hurt, taken to the hospital. I'll tell you a little bit more about Arapahoe High School, where you're seeing their athletic field here, where the students are gathering after being evacuated. We understand there are 2,200 students in all that attend classes at Arapahoe High School. They have 70 classrooms, and they are going right now, classroom to classroom, trying to make sure that everyone is okay.
As you can see, there's a SWAT team on the scene right now. They're patting down students that they've evacuated. And we just found out one of the students that was shot is in critical condition right now. We heard Justin report that at least one of the victims was shot in the head. As far as the gunman, we don't have an identity, obviously a motive, too soon to tell.
And an important point on this matter as we continue to listen to Fox 31. We know that a shooter, we know because the hospital has confirmed through official sources that a student is in the hospital and in critical condition. We do not know if that student is someone who was shot by the accused, or if in some way the shooter might himself have taken a bullet. We do not know that. I just got one other bit of information from our producers in the booth, and that is that the Denver Post is reporting, Mark Heiner, the Denver Post is reporting that authorities are now at the locker and searching the locker of the student accused in this shooting. We had earlier reports from KDVR Fox 31 that the shooter was down inside the building. We don't know that shooter's condition, but it's certainly possible that the shooter is the one who is in the hospital in critical condition. We were led to believe that a news conference would begin just about 5 minutes ago, and as we continue to watch the live feed coming out of Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado, no sign of a news conference, not yet. But official words are coming out. The only thing official that we've gotten at all from the Arapahoe County Sheriff's Office is this one tweet. When I put this up here, it was 19 minutes ago. It's now been 23 minutes. And it says, parents of #Arapahoe High students are asked to go to Shepherd of the Hills Church on University Boulevard. And that is the extent of the information that we've been given officially. That, and from the hospital, that one student is in critical condition. And these scenes of students being taken out of the school. Rick Leventhal, we anticipate that we'll be getting more information in just a moment, but the video, I think, tells as much of the story as we can pull together.
It's remarkable footage. To see these high school kids being frisked on the track, you know, outside the school by law enforcement, some of them in heavy SWAT gear. It has to be upsetting for them. Hearing gunshots fired in the school has to be pretty traumatic for these kids, some of them certainly. And, you know, it's a very tough situation. They clearly are on top of it.
We're getting new tweets coming to us from the Denver Post, and I'm going to go up here and take a look at these. Look at these aerials that are coming in. Now the armored vehicles are coming in. This is from Ryan Parker.
Yeah, the Denver Post. And he says authorities are doing everything they can to account for every single student. This is Adam Jones, whose sister goes to high school, said students are still locked in rooms and very scared. One of the command posts right now, he says, is discussing their next move. And then this is what you mentioned before. He's hearing that authorities are locking down the student/alleged gunman's locker right now.
So this is the reporter who we believe was first to arrive on scene, at least for the Denver Post.
Yeah, and he's providing some really good details right now from the scene.
What's happening here on the news deck is each of these persons is monitoring a different kind of feed. Some are monitoring what we're getting from official sources. Some are monitoring what we're getting from television and radio stations that we trust. Others are monitoring different Twitter feeds. Others are monitoring Facebook posts and Instagram for pictures that are coming in. And when this sort of a thing happens in the, I don't know, 6 weeks since we've had all of this facility together, we have a news conference that's beginning right now. Let's listen.
Entered the school armed with a shotgun. Was looking for an individual teacher that he identified by name. The teacher began to understand that he was being looked at, exited the school. One student confronted the armed student and was shot. That student has been transported in serious condition to a local hospital. We immediately activated our active shooter protocols. We had resources from agencies within the South Metro area assisting us. We cleared the school and secured all of the students very quickly. While we were securing the school, we found one additional student with a minor gunshot wound. That student has also been transported to a local hospital. While we were securing the school and ensuring that the safety of the students and staff in that school, we located that we believe to be the suspect and the active shooter. That individual is currently deceased, and he currently killed himself. That will still be part of the investigation. We know the identity of the suspect. I am not going to release it at this time. I want to again repeat to you, the suspect has been found inside the school, and he has deceased as a result of what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound. We are slowly and methodically clearing the school and ensuring that all of our students are safe. They were safer inside their locked schoolroom classes than they would have been had we allowed them to exit, and that was part of our strategy and part of our protocol. We are now slowly but methodically allowing students to leave the school in groups. We are bringing them to a location that's directly east of where we're standing. They will be boarded on school buses and transported from there to a church just south of here called Shepard of the Hills. At Shepard of the Hills is where we will reunite families with their students. We have now directed all families to go to the Shepard of the Hills church so that they can be reunited with their families or with their students within the next half hour to 45 minutes. I will also tell you that the response protocols around active shooters were put into place immediately. The first deputy sheriffs and police officers that were on scene immediately entered the school to engage the shooter if they could locate that individual, and also keep these students absolutely safe. Before I'll take any brief questions, and they will be very brief, I will tell you that I will do another very detailed brief at 3 p.m. and I'm not sure of the location, but we will put out an all-media release, and I'll let you know exactly what that, where that 3 p.m. Brief will happen. Again, at 3 p.m. I will give you additional details, and I will let you know where our investigation stands. From this point, I will tell you that I will allow media trucks, media representatives to place themselves in the westbound turn lanes on Dry Creek Road, just east of University. I know this is a huge state right now, and in order to accommodate your needs, if you want to put your trucks and vehicles on in the turn lanes, westbound Dry Creek, just east of University, that's where we will set up for you to have your vehicles.
Sheriff, the bomb squad going by right now and their equipment. Can you tell us what that may be and how it will be used?
I'll share that with you at 3 o'clock. At this point in time, it's a precautionary measure. We know the suspect was a student at Arapahoe High School. We have his identity, and we are currently in contact with his family. One at a time, go ahead. The student was transported by Littleton Fire Rescue in serious condition. Steve? We had a PIO, and he immediately initiated the active shooter protocols on his own, didn't wait for assistance. He immediately implemented and went after the threat. Don't have any details at this point. I'll share that with you at 3 o'clock. The second injured student was found while we were clearing the school that had been locked down, and again, that individual is suffering a minor wound, and we very frankly are not sure that it's a gunshot wound.
How long did the shooting take place?
Can't talk about it right now. We will at a little more detail at 3 o'clock.
How long it took to find the suspect?
It happened very quickly. The time of call on this was 12:33 p.m. today. We had information on the radio that my deputies believe they had the shooter down inside the. It was of the initial call for of the. Again, we have one student that was transported in serious condition with a gunshot wound. I can't go into any further detail on that. We have a second. But I don't know if it was a gunshot wound or exactly what the cause of that was. I'll have that information for you at my 3 o'clock news brief. Hold it.
That he wasn't acting well, that he was acting well?
At this point in time, we have not been able to locate a second suspect, but that's part of our ongoing investigation. That's why we are dealing with family and colleagues of the suspect to identify any other potential suspects. We will assume other suspects until we know differently, and that was certainly the focus of the deputies and police officers that entered this school to alleviate the threat.
Were any other weapons found inside?
No weapons found other than the one weapon that was used in the shooting.
How many shots, sir?
I won't go into that at this point.
Any more about what the teacher was?
That's something that will be part of our investigation. The student identified a specific teacher at Arapahoe High School that he was interested in confronting, and that teacher was informed of this situation and exited the school quickly.
How did he name that teacher?
I won't go into that right now.
Any of the threats made to the school earlier this week?
We have had no threats. We've had no issues that we had concern with at this school this week or in the immediate past future. I'll take 2 more questions and then I'll close, please. Steve? The most important message right now is that we have the shooter is dead as a result of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So there are no other threats at this time. We have 1 student, sadly, that has been injured. We are trying our very best to ensure that we've immediately notified the family of that student. All of the families who have students at Arapahoe High School will be reunified with their students at the Shepard of the Hills School, which is located on South University, directly. Thank you all. We'll see you at 3 o'clock. We will notify your.
In other words, they're having a news conference 1 hour from now, 3 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and to give us more information, but we have the gist of it. According to the sheriff, a student walked into Arapahoe High School in Centennial, Colorado, seeking a teacher. That teacher found out about it. The teacher left the school. The student had a shotgun, according to the sheriff, shot 1 student. He said that the student was taken in serious condition. The hospital has since updated us that that student is in critical condition. Another student is wounded, maybe a gunshot wound, maybe not, according to the sheriff. And in addition, the shooter, according to the sheriff, shot and killed himself. They're in contact with that student's family. There will be updates throughout the afternoon and evening, and we'll bring them to you when news breaks out. We break in from the Fox News deck. I'm Shepard Smith in New York. Your World with Neil Cavuto begins right now.
All right, eerie timing. A year ago, we were just learning tomorrow about Sandy Hook and the devastating tragedy there in Connecticut. The image is playing out once again, but not nearly as frightful as that day, though tragic nonetheless. Families scrambling now to be reunited with their children after shooting at a high school in Centennial, Colorado. As Shep was just telling you, the shooter is dead. The situation, we're told, contained. A hospital spokesman now confirming that a student is there in critical condition. We have Rod Wheeler, who looks at all of these things right now, and this procedure that has become all too familiar, I guess, Rod, where students exit the school, hands up, frisked by security personnel. What do you make of this yet again, not only in Colorado, but on the eve of such a horrible anniversary?
Well, you're exactly right, Neil. Actually, I'm watching Sky Fox Live, and I'm looking at the procedure that was used by the responding police. One thing that I can tell you that I have noticed with this particular case is that the initial police officers, the sheriff officers, that arrived on the scene immediately went into the school to address the threat. A year ago with Sandy Hook, that was not the procedure, that was not the protocol. So I guess the good news is this sheriff did go in and engage the shooter, although in this particular case it appears as though the shooter shot himself, according to the sheriff there in Arapahoe County. The other thing that's very interesting is how the students actually knew what to do when the alert went out for an active shooter. It appears as though all of the students went into some kind of a procedure which assisted the police as well. So, you know, we've made a lot of progress, Neil, and as you know, we've talked about these situations for many, many years. You know, Rod, you talk about that procedure.
We're just hearing that the police chief say that it is safer for the students in the middle of something like this to have stayed in the building before they're exited out of the building. Thinking there is what?
Well, I think what the sheriff was thinking, if the students stay in the building and can protect themselves, close the doors, turn off the lights, lock the doors, then they would probably be more secure. However, in some situations, in an active shooter situation, that's not always an option. So sometimes you do have to get out of the building, and if you do evacuate out the building, then you want to scatter. So we saw that's what some students did in this particular case, although a number of students did remain in the building, and that's why, if you look at the video right now, you still see right now, and it's been over an hour since this initial incident, we still see people coming out of the building with their hands up. So some of the students apparently did remain in the building in a lockdown situation.
All right, just to update you folks, it's a live shot. You're seeing it on the left. On the right is the tape shot when the students were earlier exiting the building. But why did they do that again, even when they knew a lot of these students exited the building, that the shooter was dead. I mean, are they looking for accomplices, or what's the best procedure?
That's an excellent question, Neil. The police and the students and the administrators, the teachers there, they are looking to make sure that there is no one else associated with this individual. Now, let me just tell you and the viewers right now what the police is doing. Even though the shooter is dead, according to the sheriff, they still want to make sure there's nothing else in that school that could pose a threat, such as a bomb or something like that, because there was one rumor that came through earlier that there could have been a bomb attached to this guy's body. We don't know. That has not been confirmed. So that is one of the things that they're looking for now. They want to make sure nobody else is affiliated with him, and I'm sure they're in touch with this kid's parents and at his home, probably executing a search warrant to find out more information as quickly as they can, Neil, about this apparent suspect.
We're seeing a lot of families now reunited with their children here. That's got to be the scariest thing in the world. Nothing wrenches the heart more than a year ago at Sandy Hook tomorrow, when a lot of parents rushed to the school. 23 of them found out that their child had died, or certainly a significant loved one, a teacher and a teacher's assistant. I'm wondering here, Rod, do parents get the word first? Are they notified that an emergency has happened, or are they hearing, as we do, just through scanners or news reports?
Well, actually, the new procedure here in the United States with most school systems, and this is very important, is that parents are notified anytime there is a threat, whether that threat has been ruled credible or not. So anytime there's a threat such as this nature, or any kind of bomb threat or something like that, parents are notified right away. So typically, Neil, parents are notified well in advance before we in the media even hear about this. The students